that's what she called him. She said the N-word. She's also said the F slur. And I literally have proof of that.
And now we're just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. Because, like, okay, if someone tried to frame one of my family members for being the worst thing that you could possibly be in society, I probably would just talk about that, and I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, and by the way, she said a bad word. Like, you'd probably be so outraged that they tried to
Fucking great.
frame your family member for being a pred that you wouldn't even bring up the other thing. But at the end of the day, Toph doesn't actually care what you do or
It's
don't
un poco.
believe about Brother Choose X. All she wants is for you to not like her. So she says she's racist, she's homophobic, she tried to frame my brother, she was
I'm
mean
gonna
to
wash my face in a
me,
bit. Brush
she
my teeth.
said this, she said that. Like, she's literally just trying to toss anything out there that she possibly can about this
This does not
woman
look straight
to
at all.
try
Look
to
at this
make you
nail.
form a negative opinion about her because she doesn't like her and she wants you to agree.
Messages. I have proof of that in messages. You're literally defending this chick who is homophobic. She literally said the reason why she broke up with my brother is
Straight
because
now?
he was gay. Is that not homophobic? And
No, it's actually not. If you're a woman and you're dating a man and you want to have a romantic relationship with a man and you come to find out or you come to believe that he is a gay man and that he is not attracted to women and doesn't want to be with a woman, that would be a totally reasonable reason to break up with somebody. What else would you even do? That's not homophobic. If you're a straight man and you find out that your girlfriend is a lesbian, what can you do but
That's
break up
straight.
with her? You're not like what? How is that homophobic?
This is all
and
crooked
she's
too.
called my brother the F slur more than once, saying that my brother is a F word. I literally have that in messages. She went online and said that. She went on live and she said the reason why she broke up with him is because he liked guys. Did nobody catch on to that? Or especially when she went on live and admitted to stealing my phone and damaging it? Is this behavior okay? People condone this and she went on live and admitted this.
This has nothing to do with anything that Topia is actually saying right now, but I
Fine,
just want to
dude.
point out while she picks her nose that she has the Roku remote right here, and she is still living in a shared shelter. So that means that she's sitting there while she's on live stream, not even watching the TV, not even paying attention to what's on the TV because she's busy live streaming and crashing out on her viewers. She is hogging the TV at the shelter and keeping the remote hostage from other people who live there that would probably actually watch the TV instead of just yelling over it. Just like, again, every little thing that I ever notice that she does is completely inconsiderate to everyone around her. The fact that she's even loudly yelling and live streaming in the room where the TV is would drive me insane.
I'm gonna wash my face and brush my teeth, but what if I brush my teeth and then I eat grapes afterwards? Would that be like, that'd be like rhetorical, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it? That'd be like,
dinero fuera de México, podrías tener un mejor tipo de cambio. Ahorra hasta un 50% comparado con los bancos. Usamos el tipo de
this looks nice. Look at this one.
transferencias súper rápidas.
I need to buy some of that stuff that makes your nails. This one broke.
La app de Wise
This one, that one broke too. I'm gonna brush my face, brush my teeth right now.
The police saw that. My brother got that on video. I don't have the proof because my brother's phone is gone. When the car got auctioned, his phone was in there. They didn't tell us until it was too late. So everything in the car was gone. The car got auctioned off, so I don't have his iPhone. And plus, he couldn't back up his stuff. What
Not really.
happened
Wait,
was
this
he
side
had an iPhone
this side
and
is
he
still
broke,
bigger.
and he forgot
I got two.
that his
Use this one.
iPhone was on top of the car. And
I mean, not
when
that
he
it
went
matters,
back
but
to get it, someone had ran over his iPhone. So then it was broken. Then after they ran over the
looks
iPhone,
straighter.
what happened is that he then
I'm gonna clean my nails in a
phone,
bit.
and he
I know when I
back up
wash my
stuff,
face,
it
brush
was
my teeth.
broken. I don't know what happened. This phone was broken. He couldn't do Apple Pay because the Apple Pay stopped working. I had to do everything. Apple Pay. He had me link his card to my iPhone because I had
Yeah,
to
the
do
floor and the
Apple Pay
bed.
when we put gas in the car because until he got a car, I had
Come on, now I feel like filing my nails.
because a DoorDash, and it was just a lot. I'm just trying to be a good person, but sometimes it's like the past. I'm reminded of this
I
stuff,
need to
and
buy
it's
some of
just
that
like,
nail that like
it's fucked up. Y'all be just
fortifies
defending
slash
this fucked up person.
strengthens your
This stuff
nail,
is
your
legal. I don't
nails.
even have access to GoFundMe money. That's
I want to go
fine.
get my
It just
toenails
makes me
professionally.
upset.
I
And it'd be
know,
like,
no, I shouldn't pop it because then
I
it's
don't
gonna
have
leave
$4,000
leaves
lying
like a
around spare my
scar.
brother.
The fuck.
And I most certainly
It's
can't
because like sometimes I
save
fall
that
asleep with
money
makeup on, and
back
that's why I
to
need to
those
stop. Or sometimes I
bills.
fall asleep with just glue
I'm
on my
trying to
lashes,
alleviate
and
that. I'm
like
trying to
so
be
imagine all
healthy,
that
but
shit.
apparently that's
Hey
becoming
Chris.
difficult. There's all
Hi.
Okay, so
How are
again,
you?
other
Shitty.
people need to pay for her rent,
Fuck, I want to
down
eat
payment to
grapes,
get into
but what
her
if I brush
apartment,
my teeth
her
and then eat
food,
them? It's
her
gonna be
phone
like
bill, her storage bill. Now they
pointless.
gotta pay again for like the third time around to bury
But if I
Brother
like,
Chew. They need to pay for her mental health assistance. What, if
I also feel like
anything, is
filing my
Sophia
nails.
responsible for in her own life?
always some sort of excuse as to why I can't
I'm gonna take on
receive
makeup right
housing.
now.
I didn't just buy a Switch. I've had that Switch for a while. I have my storage and my phone bill.
I need to buy cotton swabs too.
So can I bury him
What are
if
you
I don't
talking
have the
about?
money?
What are you talking
I
about? Look at
had
all the hair. I'm going bald.
$7,000. People falsely reported the GoFundMe and got it taken down. You got stupid people
Well,
like Ashton
see,
Trippy
it's not black.
that
It's
don't
brown.
really fucking brain
I got
ass
brown
bitch
hair.
coming online talking about the GoFundMe. All they ever fucking have to say is GoFundMe fucking this, GoFundMe fucking that. I
Read the
have people
GoFundMe.
that I know in real motherfucking life that knows I can scam nobody. I wasn't spending GoFundMe money. They were around me at that time when people tried to spread that false motherfucking information. That's why I don't believe none of the bullshit online. Because it's just bullshit. They're watching you guys lie in 24 fucking K. It's bullshit. I had people around me at that time. If I was spending GoFundMe money, then when I have more bags than what I have, those little bit of bags was not
My
$7,000.
trash is overflowing.
Oh,
I need to remove my makeup before. No, I'll just eat my grapes after I brush my teeth. Oh well, fuck it. Fuck it, dude. I'm fucking gonna fucking do it. I don't give a fuck.
GoFundMe is not going to give people's money back. And if that was
Watch
the
me not
case,
give a
I
fuck,
would have
dude.
went to jail for scamming people because they would have took me to court. GoFundMe would have prosecuted me if it was some sort of scam. Why haven't the police been involved? Why haven't I went to jail?
I need to like do my eye exercises. You have to go like this so you can get predator eyes. I'm just kidding. Check your phone out right now. Check it. Hold on. I'm like doing something.
Scam people and not make them pay that back. That is literally fraud. I would have got arrested
Fraudulent.
for fraud, for scams.
You fraudulent fraud. Just kidding.
How am I lying? That's true. I would have got arrested and I didn't. The state didn't pay for it. Again, you keep talking about bullshit. They only paid up to $6,000. It's not $6,000 to have a service and bury someone. Are you that fucking idiotic?
Yes.
CBRC gave us $6,000. You need about almost $12,000 to bury someone. It's not a flat $6,000. CBRC gave us $6,000. You want to talk about scams?
Scam. Scammy,
Receipts that I have of how much they paid.
I'm gonna put makeup on my lips, but
$5,000 altogether. The card that I have in the back of
no,
my
it's
phone
gonna like
with and his picture, those
lots of
are
pieces.
not free. And to print however many cards, because we didn't know
Scammy,
how many people was going to show up.
I need a
To
fart.
print all those cards is not free. We have.
So again, just to get on her a little bit here about the
Oh, well.
entitlement. The state paid for the service, the cremation, the urn, all the basic associated costs with a funeral, and she's getting mad because her and Mama Chu
Scammy
were
Whammy.
responsible for paying for
Scammy
the prayer
Whammy.
cards. Again,
Periwinkle.
this is like if you were planning a
Yo,
wedding
look at that
and
fucking
the state paid
cheap
for
ass
the
fucking
venue,
2-ply
and
paper.
the
Cheap
caterer,
ass counterfeit
and the
2-ply
flowers,
paper.
and
I
all
will go to
the
sleep
dress, the suit,
in an
everything
hour or so.
associated,
Don't
and
trip.
that you were whining and complaining because you had to pay for the invitations
You
yourself.
will see. Why are you up watching me, bro?
We also had to pay for the casket that he was gonna
My
be in
lash?
before he
No,
was
I don't wanna.
cremated.
I don't wanna
They
get my
also
lashes fit right
paid
now. I
for
wanna
the
wash my
casket
face.
he was gonna be in
Hold
when
on.
he was cremated. They also paid for his urn, which we had to pick out the urn.
And again, she
The
keeps saying
urn.
we paid for this. No, you didn't pay for it. This money was deducted from the $6,000
Look
that
at
they
that. Look at those
allocated
pimples.
for his funeral. So you didn't have to pay shit. This
Yesterday I
money
fell
was
asleep with some
taken
makeup
out of
on.
the money that they allocated for it and paid themselves.
We wanted. That's not free. To literally hold a small
I'll put
service,
makeup on here, but
there's a
still.
fee for that.
I have, it's
We
like a toilet
brought
paper.
the
I need to buy cotton
professionals
swabs.
because
I was
we
schooling
couldn't
videos,
pay
okay,
for
bye.
them to provide
Nah.
it. We thought you did it, you know, see what's up
Fucking.
because-
Wait, what was I gonna
and I
do?
was
Oh, yeah, I
like,
was thinking some
"Doctor,
people.
if you think a funeral is cheap, then you have no knowledge of
I'm
nothing."
lazy. I don't wanna get up.
But that's the entire issue, Sophia Chu, is that we all know that a funeral is not cheap. Nobody's saying that it is. And 90% of yours was paid for, 95% of yours was paid for, and you're still complaining, and you're still being greedy. As always, nothing in the world is good enough for Sophia Chu. No matter how much she gets, she's still gonna sit there with a stink face and a bad attitude, sticking her hand out and asking for
No.
more. And that is why everybody treats her and everybody talks to her the way that they do. We're gonna wrap it up there
I
on
feel like
that
there's still
note
glue right
today,
there.
but we will be back tomorrow with another lolcow update,
See?
and I hope to see you guys there. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe both to this channel and also to the Sophia Chu archive, which I
Oh
will
my
link
god.
down below. If you ever
Hello.
want to see her content without any commentary, these videos would
Being
not be
herself
possible
is
without the
weird.
work that they do archiving, so thank you very much to the Sophia Chu archive. And
Nope.
until next time, you guys know the drill. Stay away from the
What
ochre,
was
pay
that?
for
What
your
the
own
fuck?
funerals, and of course, have a good one.
Ew. I'm not done. Hold on. Let me put this away. I'm struggling to put this in. Okay. Got it. Oh, wait. Ew, the hairs. Ew. There. No. Okay, see. Wait, I'm not done. I'm gonna like double check that. Cause look at this one still has like some glue right there. It's fucking annoying, dude. Did I use both of these Q-tips? No, huh? Let me see. I'm gonna take off this bottom one.
Indeed.
Fuck is this?
Your boy clutched it on behalf of chat, bro.
Fuck out of here with that shit. Let me watch this commentary about this ratchet person. Come on. Who the fuck keeps emailing, messaging me on my old Facebook? I ain't finna check. I don't wanna know. I don't wanna know.
She's pregnant and she was on live crying about how her baby daddy basically used her for what she got, and now that she's pregnant, she don't even want to be with her.
Sucks. Sucks. Didn't know it was long. Didn't know it. What she said? Didn't know. Yeah, what she said. Crazy.
This beautiful lady with this good hair, Giovanna J. So for those of you guys who do not know, Giovanna J is a popular TikToker. She is like
So you see how it's like black right there in the corner? Or is it just me?
Popular. She became popular for making like pick me content, or you know, like oh, I want a man so bad. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a man. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us want love. We were, you know,
Almost done. I'm just gonna take off this.
We're not created to be alone. You know, going back to Adam and Eve.
Love y'all too. Hello from Mexico. Hi.
You know,
Hi.
also, she had made some crazy statements about the guy Caleb Wilson, who died, and it was just sometimes we just got.
Let it marinate on my bottom lashes. No, I don't want to redo my lashes in the morning. I always have to redo them, and it fucking sucks, dude.
A few months. Some people don't even get in relationships until like 3 months, and then look, you already having a baby by somebody around that time. I don't believe anybody should be having a baby with somebody unless y'all knew each other for at least 3 years and like was together for 3 years. People create broken homes because y'all don't know these things. Like you had to know. A lot of people like just like a job. You are putting your best representative. You're just trying to get the job. You trying to.
You see that fucking dog hair right there?
See, like, oh,
My
I don't
lash.
show up for this person, and
Oh, hell no. No! It's still in there.
But yeah, in my opinion, she was definitely.
See, this is what I had in my eyelash.
Have a baby with this man. Like I said, she's also known for like dating jailbirds.
Oh my gosh, this is my eyelash.
And stuff like that.
Fuck, I fucked it up.
It was just too soon. I do get it kind of because they said she doesn't really have family like that. So it's like.
Clean your fingers. I just got this glue in my nails. I'm gonna clean. I always clean. If you look at some of my previous streams, you'll see that I literally have an old toothbrush that I use that's dedicated to clean my nails. Stop it. I use Dove soap. So stop it, bro. Is there toilet paper in the corner of my eye? But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn the post notification bells on. Let's get into the video. Let this marinate on my bottom lashes.
Everything in this video is a personal opinion, strictly for entertainment. This video is
So I can like take off that shit.
Right.
There's something in my eyeball. It's like stabbing my eyeball, bro. What the fuck? Like right in the corner.
And you know what? I kind of feel bad for Javonna J because she's pregnant and she was on live crying about how her baby daddy basically used her for what she got, and now that she's pregnant, he don't even want to be with her. Like, she got manipulated and played, and she's just now realizing it. She said she left this man 2 times before she got pregnant, and he was the one begging for her to come back.
There, let's wash my face. Oh, thanks. I wish I could have a smaller nose. I'd feel better about myself. Something like that. Okay, let's go to the bathroom. So I wash my fucking face and brush my teeth. Okay. Fun.
And now apparently she's saying that he don't want to be with her too because she's too internet. Like, boy, you know who this girl was before that, so why is he trying to do that to her now? Like, this is dead wrong.
Javonna J, from what I'm understanding, she basically got hit with the old bait and switch, and that's why.
No, if I had a smaller nose, it'd be better. Or if I was at least skinnier, which I'm working on. Okay, let's go. Let's go wash my face. Brush my teeth. And I'm gonna eat grapes. Which not. Lies, dude. Look at the chicken for the dogs. Oh, hello. Hey. Take off the video. Wait. Everyone? I'm saying that. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying it. Whatever. I have to put my little phone, but I forgot. Let me close this. Come on. Let me open up my stream over here. What? Can't wait. Channel. Oh, my toothbrush is in my room actually. I'll be right back. Oh. I'm back, bro. I'm gonna try not to make a big ass mess like I usually do. Because I usually like make like a huge mess, like I splatter everything. And let me put the camera that's in the back. Hold on. Oops, it's off something. Hold on. Okay, let me put the flash. Flashback to fucking that's it, girl. Is that a sign of a blood rash? I think they have blood rash. Just kidding. Are you machine ready to what? doing a line. Why am I how am I doing a line, bro? I'm literally gonna fall asleep like probably within an hour. But I digress. But I digress. So grounded, I guess. So maybe walk it. Let's put it up. I don't know, that's kind of dumb. Like, I already do that online. I already do that online. Okay. That's kind of. Nothing. Hey, Mitchell. Wait, what the heck? Okay. I used to, I tried to do a smaller pump, but I did a really big pump. Hi, Vinny. Okay, one of my members, you can message me on Telegram, and I can, like, compensate you. Oh, thanks. I can compensate you for your membership. If you message me on Telegram, you can email me if you're not, if you're not on Telegram, or you're not, like, up to, like, you don't want to, like, download it. Look. Let me look at you. Girl, I'm doing something. Inspect it, please. I don't like the toothpaste that has alcohol in it. No, I do have a gag reflex. We turn it off. There are no more. Oh my god, that was crazy. I guess. That's stupid. No, I'm not like that. I spit on my hair on accident. Fuck it. It ain't washed. It ain't hair wash day, so fuck it's just gonna have to stay there, like a form of keeping treatment. Stay. I gotta go my nose. Now I gotta clean this ear and before I'm gonna just do that. Okay. I'm gonna go rinse my face in the kitchen because that the kitchen the sink is like higher. Oh damn! I still have makeup on the tip of my nose. So. Watch, look. Not this one though. Watch, watch. You say it's not to makeup. That's to my nose. That's some bullshit, bro. I missed the spot, see? Well, I could be in a hurry. Well, I literally could have got a pimple there now. It's like, cause yeah. Yeah, see? Make one. I'm American, bro. That's why I speak English. The fuck? I'm American. This is an American YouTube stream. Please be respectful about this thing. I'm gonna go. I need to clean out. Hold on. I'm gonna go read window index. Alright, now I have to check my phone. Start bitching about it. It's like me. Just start bitching about it and shit. I'll be like, fuck. Just kidding. Just kidding. Ish. Okay. rinse my face in the kitchen. Wait a second. Oh, I took my phone over there. Hold on. Forgot. I just gotta rinse my face. Am I streaming? Oh my god. I'm gonna rinse my face and that's it. Hello. Everyone. We make what? Oh, there's so many foreigners here. It's really annoying. Not even a girl cat. It's not like a cat got in here. What the fuck? Let me see the window. What the fuck? A fucking cat?
I don't want to be involved at all. Like for my own peace, I don't want to be involved. I feel like I can't even enjoy my own presence because of somebody else. Like somebody keep expressing me, and it's trying to make it seem like he want the baby. He want the baby. Like that's no secret. But it's just like, bro, you telling me you want this baby and shit like this, but look how you treat me. Like you have no appreciation for the person.
My ears, okay.
Your seed.
You better leave my bracelet with a bitch. You bitch, you flop, you face, you see all that, you fucking dirty all this. You went into the police. You got what you talking about, you get ready for your mother. Ratchet ass on. Is you about that boy? Right, that person called me a fraud, bro. That's fucked up. You can't even ban bitch. Fuck your foreign ass. Fucking bitch. Hey! Get away from my grapes.
I understand. I'm not even mad at it. I understand, but I feel like everything she's doing in regards to the baby, it's up to how the man is treating her, or how the guy, like.
Is he about that boy? About the shit you talk? About the talking, the feelings of all the talking and talking. You got serving and serving, help him show him a chance. No, they ain't real. Niggas be speaking. Oh, I just. He's a pander. It's like, nah, nobody cares if I say the N word. I can say the N word, nobody gives a fuck. I'm single, can't you tell?
She on the phone. Oh, cut.
Niggas be sweeter. Same shit. And I always to the side goes, wait, you're clean your hyena. No, I'm not cleaning it. I'm not gonna watch. Watch how much shit I'm gonna get out of it. Watch. See? I said niggas be sweeter than Skittles. See that shit just ain't gonna have you sleep in hospitals. No, rapper bar, you smoking that no, rapper bar, you smoke that killer, don't even smoke killer, even if you did, I still wouldn't smoke with you, you bitch, you fraud, you fake, motherfucking fluke, pussy all way, your fucking booty all loose, you and two other, you dumb, I don't want to see the N-word no more. He ain't got what you be talking about, he ain't ready for your mama to be walking out at that big ass, so is he about that boy? This is how my little boozy called. You ain't got what you be talking about. Featuring Webby. Good song. It's a really good song. How do I know it? I don't know. I don't know why I like it, like, honestly. But I do.
And I don't stay on one story too long. I don't go to sleep thinking about y'all. Be something, I talk about it and I move right along. Which is why I'm talking about what Giovanna J's sister posted, right? At the end of the day, Giovanna J's sister, baby, yeah.
I'm still getting dirt out of my ear.
That girl been going up on her baby daddy people and her baby daddy for the past couple of days.
I don't know why the flash turned off. What the fuck?
But her sister wants to come up here and express her disdain for her sister.
My face is like really dry, but like I have like these gels that I use that ChatGPT recommended because I have like oily skin. I have like skin that's prone to like oily to get oily really fast. And ChatGPT recommended I buy a gel type of moisturizer, but I feel like it's like so sticky that like whenever like when I fall asleep and I'm just like because I fall asleep face down, like all the and everything's gonna make it like stick to my face because I put this. So I'm gonna stop doing that actually, and I'll just put it on like in the morning or some shit. Because like I don't know, I just feel like I'll put some chapstick on there. About that boy, you ain't about this that you're talking, stop talking. You can stop all that talking and talking. You don't say it, you say it, you don't, I just think it. What the fuck? Those comments are crazy. How dare you say that to me? Bro, shut the fuck up already. You speak to me.
GRL. You can see there's heart and soul and friends and sisters and we take care of each other. We've been together for quite some time now.
I'm ready. Dude, I'm ready now. But why are these comments in what? Make sure that you get
GRL with Larry Rudolph. And Larry Rudolph is Britney Spears' manager, Miley Cyrus's manager, a friend of ours.
Heartbreaking news out of Hollywood this weekend as GRL singer Salome Bethel has died at 25.
Tennis prostitution claims, disgusting, ridiculous lies.
Things that Robin Antin was able to get together. She has great relationships with Rudolph and Dr. Luke.
Former girl group GRL reveals that member Lauren Bennett, also known for her appearance on LMFAO's mega hit Party Rock anthem, has died.
Let me see. Why did the flash turn off, bro? Oh, Lord, can't turn off the flash. Bro, I'm gonna ban you. That was making me fucking. That was getting me annoyed. Hello, Germany. Hello. These comments are getting real fucking annoying. Who's story time?
Even though you might have never heard the name Lauren Bennett, you've definitely heard her music. She was the girl vocalist featured in this song, Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO, Millennial Anthem by Any Regard. Anyway, she also was a member of two girl groups. One was called GRL, and the other was very short-lived. And both of the band that she was in are offshoots of the Pussycat Dolls created by Robin Antin. So earlier this year, there were rumors going around all over online that GRL was going to be getting back together. And last month in June, those rumors were kind of reignited because there were some photos that went around of those bandmates together and those got posted to Instagram.
Oh, wait.
So
I'm
GRL
telling you shit about Machine Gun Smell.
reunited already one time in 2016, about 10 years ago. Well, exactly 10 years ago.
After taking a break, GRL are back on the road and they've got some new music. They did Aussie shows for Nickelodeon's Slime Fest, but not before a very special performance right here on the morning show.
And according to Billboard, GRL was scheduled to reform the group again this year in 2026. However, this past month, it was announced that Lauren Bennett, one of the members of the band, tragically and unexpectedly passed away at the age of 36. She was very young. And come to find out, those pictures that the bandmates had taken back in June and put on the Instagram stories, they were actually taken at Lauren's funeral. And the reports are now coming out and saying that Lauren actually passed away on May 29th, 2026. So over a full month goes by announced publicly between when she actually died.
Lauren Bennett, known for party anthems like this LMFAO classic, and the member of the group GRL, has died. She was only 37 years old.
I'm tired of my cat shit, dude. He's doing that stupid shit all the time. Be coming in and out like the whole time. I should get a cat door and swallow my blood.
We don't exactly know what this supposed severe reaction was and what the supposed failure to treat her was. But come to find out, Lauren is not the first or only girl from the girl band GRL to have lived on
These comments are crazy.
It's been over 10 years now. It was actually almost 12 years
Here's the
ago.
milk and cookies. I wish. Too fat for that.
Named Simone Battle. Simone was known for her bubbly personality and her powerful voice. She was featured on The X Factor with Simon Cowell and L.A. Reid. Incidentally, the year before Britney Spears started to work on The X Factor. Now, Simone was eliminated
I never watched
from
these.
The X Factor on the
You
first
fucking-
live show. But it wasn't Simone's first TV gig.
Then don't
She
the
had
fuck.
appeared before in some smaller roles in shows like Zoe 101. The web keeps webbing back to like the Britney Spears universe, but that's a story for another day.
Really
She also starred in Everybody Hates Chris, and she also
Sometimes
was
you,
in
the
music
first
videos,
one, you know, I'm
including
fucking
iconic,
annoying.
again, this is another millennial anthem, Teach Me How to Dougie,
Especially if
by
you're a
Black
foreigner.
District. It's August
Especially
2012.
if you're a foreigner, like me, like,
skedaddle
out of here.
Proposed lineup, and this is literally what they were going to be calling the band, Pussycat Dolls 2.0. I think it's a pretty good idea that they decided not to go with that name. But Simone Battle, she was going to be in this sort of relaunch of the Pussycat Dolls 2.0. Now this was after the original band had split, but in February the next year, 2013, Robin Antin announced that she would be forming yet another new girl group called GRL. However, in February 2013, Robin Antin, again, this is the person who founded and formed the Pussycat Dolls and all these other little offshoot bands, she announced that she would be forming another new girl group. Not Pussycat Dolls 2.0. This time she decided the name of the band was going to be GRL. But it still was being situated as the next generation of Pussycat Dolls under a new name.
Last week that from one of the Pussycat Dolls or former Pussycat Dolls that you guys might be getting back together. Is there any truth?
Yes, there is truth in it. We'll see. I can't say for sure. We're working on
This
something,
Pussycat Doll.
cooking up something. That's really all I can tell you.
just like I was doing something. Whatever, I'm gonna explain myself.
They are
Whatever.
very, very talented girls. Come here.
I'm Miss Hollywood. Nice to meet you.
There are girls that are extremely talented. They all really sing like they're incredible singers. I always agree. I always get.
So just about 1 year later, September 2014, Simone Battle was found unresponsive in her bedroom closet. I'll leave it at that. It was quickly ruled that it was self-inflicted, and a spokesperson for Simone told TMZ that she had been struggling with financial problems. She was just in this brand new girl group. I don't know why she would be struggling with financial problems. I would assume that she would have just signed a contract. Plus, she was very young. I don't know. It seems like possibly Simone was battling with a little bit more than just financial problems. Perhaps some mental health things. Perhaps some other stuff that they didn't want to put out there as the spokespeople. But that was the official report. She was struggling with financial problems, and she committed self-delete. So the band at GRL ends up breaking up 9 months later after Simone's passing.
Okay,
And it does seem like Simone's death played a pretty big part.
And then your username in the email, because like I read a lot of other people that start emailing me after that.
Statement that announced the girl group was ending. Quote, following the tragic death of band member Simone Battle, girl group GRL announces today that they are disbanding. This is from their record label, Kizabi Records. The quote goes on, quote, we wish them continued success in each of their next creative endeavors. Now, even though Simone and Lauren's lives did end over a decade apart, I can't help but wonder if there is something more sinister going on when it comes to these two former bandmates who both met untimely ends. Now, before Lauren Bennett was a member of GRL, she was in a previous Robin Anton girl group called the Paradiso Girls. And I'm just wondering what Paradiso is. I don't know why it just reminds me of like that image of that freaking Jeffrey Epstein temple just flashed through my mind, speaking of Paradiso. But anyway, some people online have called the Paradiso Girls the shortest-lived girl group of all time because they really only had one minor hit song called Patron Tequila featuring Lil Jon and Eve. So Lauren's in that band, it dismembers or whatever, and then she goes on to be in GRL. And like I said before, GRL disbanded within 1 year after Simone Battle passed in 2014. But Lauren kept working. She did not end her career here. The GRL is over. Paradiso Girls are over.
Why are you
She
waiting
kept
for
working.
it?
In 2016, she and her fellow former GRL member Natasha Slayton performed as a trio alongside Jazzy. Okay, now remember that name, Natasha Slayton. We're gonna circle back around to her.
One full bag of this is like 800 or 600 pounds.
They did this little trio project after
According to
GRL.
ChatGPT.
So a year later, 2017, Lauren and her brother Ryan
Look for
formed
what?
another little group. This time it was a country and blues duo called Betty.
Although I wish you would eat a croissant with you
And they
in
did
it.
release one single called It's All Good. So Lauren
I'm
eventually
hungry.
gets married
No, I'm
to
so
this
hungry.
guy. He's a dancer. Really, he's like mostly a professional
should
dancer.
eat.
But he's also an actor. He's a reality TV star. His name's Kenny.
I like these green ones
And,
because like they're
his
sour.
probably best known role was this one in 2011.
They kind of reminds me of like when I eat like
Today, they do have a 6-year-old
this is really good candy by Nerds, but I heard Nerds is bad for you, so like in a class action lawsuit because they were like giving people cancer.
This is again like I said, this is Kenny. He started his career also
I
as
think
a
they're called like clusters.
dancer. He was pretty good too. In 1996, he was selected
I don't know, but they're like, oh my
White
god,
House
so
Easter
good.
celebration
I don't
for
want to
then
think about
President
them.
Bill Clinton.
I need to do my daily exercise with like I go like this.
Kenny would go on to dance on tours as a
It's supposed to, like,
dancer. He accompanied acts such as Justin Timberlake and the Pussycat Dolls, which brings us directly to the next
Yeah,
character.
keep on like cyber messaging me.
So Robin founded the Pussycat Dolls
I
in
don't know
Los
what the hell
Angeles in 1995.
Oh,
Originally, the Pussycat Dolls was a burlesque
You shouldn't
dance
make this a
troupe, and they would just like rotate characters in and out of this group. It was converted into a mainstream pop music group around 2003. So the Pussycat Dolls existed as a burlesque group for like 8 years before they actually became a pop group. And when they became a pop group, Nicole Scherzinger was positioned as the main singer.
I became a choreographer. I was living with Christina Applegate, one of my very good friends. And Christina had a dance studio in her house, and I'd go down there and I'd just be like doing all this choreography. And Christina come down and make the studio.
I just like swap things.
What are you doing? Sitting on friends with Johnny Depp at the back room. She said, you know, you should go down and show me this. I mean, this is so incredible. It's like you should put together like one full number. Next thing I know, I have, you know, Carmen Electra, you know, Carmen's in the show, Gwen Stefani. All these record companies were calling me. All of a sudden, it was literally like, everything was happening so fast. Like the first time I heard Josh on the radio was here in Vegas. I couldn't stop crying. It was seriously like so. It was so incredible because it was like, you know, thinking like how could this be? There's something about Vegas that's right for the Pussycat Dolls. My partners here in Vegas believed in me and believed in the Pussycat Dolls and built a club right like that.
The successful recording lineup.
Who are you? Or seeing that I'm tweeting all day. You don't know me. You don't know me, girl. That's like,
Melody Thornton and Kimberly Wyatt.
you didn't even know me. You've seen that shit.
People, but this was the initial successful
Looking all
recording lineup. Now, Robin, though, like I mentioned, she didn't just establish the Pussycat Dolls. Remember, she's also the founder of GRL and Paradiso Girls, and both of those bands, Lauren Bennett was a member of. So Lauren's husband, Kenny, is also business partners with Robin Anton.
They are frozen. My grapes are frozen.
Kenny is business partners to this day with the founder of GRL, Pussycat Dolls, and Paradiso Girls. Okay.
I'm gonna go with myself and said, yes, that's what you should do.
The co-creators of a dance studio called Playground LA Elite Global. Playground LA Elite Global is very well known over in Hollywood, and sources state that Robin Anton and Kenny Wormald met in the early 2000s, and they teamed up to open the studio in 2017. They also starred together in a Hulu reality show about the opening of their London-based studio, which was called just Playground, all caps. And I'm not getting too much in the weeds here, but that show was executive produced or produced somehow by Megan Thee Stallion. Can she even dance? I don't know. I just have flashbacks to her in that SpongeBob scene. Anyway, also the same year that Playground Global Elite LA dance studio opened, 2017, is the same year that former Pussycat Doll Kaya founder Robin Anton had treated the group like a prostitution, and she claimed that the first four away from all this, and she said, quote, we knew we were going to know. She added that she wanted the den mother from hell to confess why another one of her girl members committed unalive. Now, Kaya never named her den mother from hell, but it is largely speculated, and it is certainly my opinion, speculation and theory, that Kaya's obviously talking about Robin Anton, the band member who committed the unalive, I believe, is Samantha Back. Kaya didn't name names, so we really can't know for sure. So Robin responded. She called these allegations from Kaya disgusting, ridiculous lies. She was trying to claim that Kaya wasn't even a real member of the group. She was only there on a trial basis. But this is categorically and demonstrably false, because Kaya joined the Pussycat Dolls all the way back the first year it became a pop group in 2003. She was 19 years old at the time, and she sang and performed at the VH1 Divas 2004 episode. She also was on the MTV Asia Awards with the Pussycat Dolls in 2004. So at least for a full year, she was doing stuff with them as a member. But she did leave the group right before the debut album was released. Now, because of these allegations of control and systematic abuse, as well as her connections to people like Larry Rudolph, Robin Anton has been compared by many, many people to Britney Spears' ex-business manager, the architect of the conservatorship, Luke M. Taylor. I mean, there's all these connections through the web. Like, for example,
there's lore on the internet about a Britney Spears cameo that was filmed and then eventually it was scrapped. What do you girls know about that situation, and did you ever see the final cut of that, and were you involved in the decision making there?
Well, we turned and we waved. It was going to be Britney that we were waving to. I think at one point she did film it, but for whatever reason, it just didn't end up.
Y'all's faces are like, we could have had a Britney cameo?
And then, as the mom who got on tour with Britney, I saw you on the circus tour. I mean, you opened for for Britney, but it might as well have been its own headlining tour situation because that show was incredible. I saw you with Britney and Christina.
Yeah. Also, who could forget that odd moment in Britney Spears' history when she pranked her brother Brian with a fake FBI agent or two to arrest him? So the prank was like the FBI arrested Brian Spears, but then they brought him to a club where Britney Spears was dressed up like a pussycat doll and she was performing in a burlesque show, yes, for her brother. I wonder if that was actually a good idea at this point. Anyway. So in 2021, Robin Anton actually sued the Queen Pussycat Doll herself, Nicole Scherzinger. This is probably the most recognizable member of the band. She's pretty much always been the front leader girl, she's pretty much always been the front runner of the band and the lead character. But she got sued by the founder of the band for refusing to participate in a planned Pussycat Doll reunion. Now, I already had a whole video on this topic. I covered the lawsuit. The TLDR, too long to read, is that according to Robin Anton's complaint, the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls, Nicole Scherzinger, entered an arrangement involving Live Nation in 2017. And in the arrangement, the reunion project received approximately $600,000 in financing for an advance. And a primary reason, really big reason, probably the biggest reason that Live Nation decided to give over this $600,000 advance was they expected the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls, Nicole, to participate in the reunion tour. So Nicole later signed a February 2019 agreement. They called it a memorandum concerning the reunion. The group publicly reunited in late 2019. They released a song called React, but the planned tour was postponed because, COVID and all that. Ultimately, they basically just didn't do that. So in 2021, Robin Anton sued Nicole Scherzinger. This is the founder of the group suing the main character. She alleged that Nicole had originally agreed to 49% interest, but later she refused to proceed unless she received actually 75%. Like, Nicole started to know her worth, and I have a whole separate theory as to why the music industry in Hollywood also targets younger people and frankly children, because once people start to realize their value, they start asking for money. So Nicole wanted to receive 75%. She wasn't going to go on any tours or do any reunions unless she was getting 75% of the revenues. She also wanted complete creative control and final decision-making authority. Her representatives denied the accusations and characterized the lawsuit as meritless, for the record. So the next year, 2022, Nicole Scherzinger fires back with her own lawsuit. She counterclaimed. She countersued the group founder, Robin Anton, and Nicole alleged that Robin Anton mismanaged funds that were supposed to be dedicated for the tour. Nicole also said that Robin had breached the initial contract in the following ways. She supposedly mismanaged the reunion business. There was a business established to manage the reunion tour, and apparently, according to Nicole's lawsuit and counterclaim against Robin Anton, that company had been mismanaging. Nicole also claimed that Robin engaged in self-dealing, basically benefiting herself at the detriment of the other bandmates and members. Supposedly, she had property to tens of thousands of dollars. There was $30,000 in fees, and supposedly, allegedly, according to this lawsuit or this counterclaim, Robin had allegedly directed approximately $175,000 to some random manager associated with allegedly contributing almost nothing. In this counterclaim, the lead singer said, actually, the band is crazy for suing me because she got the $600,000 from Live Nation without properly involving or compensating any of us, including Nicole. Here it is.
She's got Pussycat Doll money, so 2 Christmas trees.
Supposedly in this lawsuit, Robin failed to assign the promised intellectual property rights. She was failing to do things she had promised to do with regard to copyright and things like that. She supposedly left Nicole to contribute $163,000 of her own money toward the reunion expenses. And in this lawsuit, the lead singer of Pussycat Dolls alleges that the founder also damaged the commercial liability of the reunion with all of this mismanagement and bad. So clearly it does seem to have stemmed from this controversy. However, the Pussycat Dolls did, in fact and indeed, eventually return to the stage this year in 2026. But the planned reunion tour was canceled just a few months ago. And the tour was canceled because they weren't selling tickets. Okay, so on May 4th, 2026, because of ticket sales, the Pussycat Dolls reunion, the long-awaited, the long litigated, millions of thousands of dollars that got spent. It's just very interesting to me that the tour was canceled, the Pussycat Dolls tour was canceled 3 weeks before Lauren finished Untimely Death. Now, Lauren was never a member of the Pussycat Dolls. However, who owned or founded all of these bands? Two of the ones Lauren was in, and the Pussycat Dolls, Robin Anton. So, I don't know, some conspiracy theories have circulated that perhaps the timing of the Pussycat Dolls tour being canceled had something to do with the untimely death. I don't know insurance this, I don't know value of brand that. People are basically theorizing that Robin Anton, conspiracy theory has something to do with that because she's running for money. Now, I did find in that video that we made years ago now about the Pussycat Dolls and the lawsuit about the Pussycat Dolls and Robin Anton and Nicole Scherzinger that it did appear like Robin Anton was having some financial difficulties. There was some lawsuits with American Express or Citibank or something like that. I don't know. I'll put a clip in here. I'll put a clip in here. And then by 2020, December 2020, Robin was sued again for failure to make monthly payments again to another entity. This time, it was a landlord that she owed rent to on a property that she had rented out under Playhouse LA. What is Playhouse LA? It depends who you ask. On the lease, it says that Playhouse LA is a retail establishment, like a place where you sell clothes. On the website of Playhouse LA, it looks like it's a dance studio. And again, Robin is a choreographer, so maybe it's a dance studio, but I don't know why she would have rented it as a dance studio. Now, this time, it was the biggest, largest amount of money that a creditor or a person she owed money to this time. This one was $30,052. Almost exactly $30,000. Now, this is already in addition to the $28,000 American Express balance, to the almost $14,000 on the business account, to the almost $3,000 on the personal line of credit, now $30,000 on this lease. Her response to all these lawsuits is very don't make no sense. Like, they just use any and all possible affirmative defense, but they don't actually explain how that affirmative defense applies to them. Like, they'll say, each purported cause of action in the operative complaint fails to state facts sufficient to constitute a cause of action, but they don't do any legal analysis. So it's almost like, was she unable to really afford a legal analysis? Like, she was told, weird, just file something, like, speculation as far as the timing. But it is interesting here. Pussycat Dolls tour is canceled, and also
I'm back. Well,
Pussycat Dolls stay GRL. The name was supposed to be called Pussycat Dolls GRL.
Págate aquí. Págate la cama, págate.
That brings us to
No, she's not allowed. You can fucking stop why she lives here. What the fuck?
and Motown Curse. Now, this is the way we've always played it. So, before GRL or Paradise of Girls, Lauren was featured not only in the music video, but actually on the track as the vocalist for Element Rock Anthem. We discussed this at the beginning of the video. I just wanted to give this a mention because I found it very interesting that both of the members of Element Video can be connected back to Barry Gordy. He's known for his connections to Motown and Motown Curse, as well as having alleged mafia ties. Now, we've talked about Barry Gordy in the past, and we talked about the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and how Johnny Wright, who was a huge, prolific business manager of the music industry back in the early 2000s, when there was really a golden era going on, he learned from people who learned from Barry Gordy. So Barry Gordy is also
los tres platillos que nos parezcan más interesantes. Entonces, por lo mismo, yo les recomiendo que ahora sí, enjundia, que le pongan acá creatividad, sin llegar al nivel del disparate que ya todos conocemos.
Tengo los elementos suficientes para armar un platillo. De eso que pase a hacer los tres primeros, pues hay una diferencia, un bachecito, ¿no? De los tres que escojamos, el mejor sube directo a la
Korea hit an HIV crisis with the
Believe it or not, North Korea says it has no HIV. Well, it's ostensibly understandable. Our leader also says his country has no prostitution, no pornography, no homosexuality, no toxic masculinity, no sexually transmitted diseases, but only a glorious future and infinite future dignity. The kingdom proclaims itself as a clean socialist civilization, apparently so morally fortified that even bacteria know better not to cross the border. However, in reality, syphilis, gonorrhea and HIV do spread there, and sometimes are out of control. The state just never openly admitted it. North Korea, like many other countries, sometimes attempts but fails to control disease. Our leader has tried to eliminate STDs by refusing to discuss the behaviour that spreads them. I mean, if there is really no prostitution nor promiscuity, sexually transmitted infections can be controlled naturally. However, international health agencies have, at various points, dealt with HIV treatment in North Korea, and there are doctors quietly treating syphilis and gonorrhea in local clinics. So the real question is not whether North Korea has sexually transmitted diseases. Any human society does have some. The real question is how a country so determined to deny sex in public ended up with a hidden history of sexual disease anyway. In this episode, we trace North Korea's hidden history of sexual health from the colonial period through the Kim dynasty and into the present moment. From bloodlines taken from North Korean border crosses in China to epidemiological models built from fragmentary government disclosures, international aid records, and doctors' medical histories, we piece together North Korea's secret medical record of sexually transmitted diseases. But before the show, it's time to pay tribute to our channel members. As you will see, this channel has no brand deal, so it's your support that allows us to spend an unreasonable amount of time reading academic papers that were never meant to be entertaining. Thank you. Now, buckle up and let's dig in.
Maternal and child health in North Korea is in a critical state, mainly due to a lack of infrastructure and the dire nutrition conditions within the regime. According to a report released by South Korea's Institute for Health and Social Affairs, North Korea's maternal mortality rate stood at 82 out of 100,000 women in 2017, up from 77 in 2008. It was due to a lack of medical facilities and transportation, which led to overbleeding and infections after giving birth.
Picture this. A middle-aged North Korean woman stands at the Chinese-Korean border, her documents checked, her bag searched, her pulse rising. A nurse draws her blood, not because she isn't visually sick, but the North Korean government insists on testing any returnees for something it claims doesn't exist in the Juche land. The syringe and vials are hunting for syphilis, AIDS, and all those decadent germs of the dangerous outside world. She probably has done this before. A quick jab, a brief silence. Then she is waved back across the barbed wire into her Puritan country. If the results come back positive, she would get a quiet warning or forced treatment. Otherwise, if she can afford it, a discreet bribe to make the paperwork disappear. Vice versa. When North Korean migrant workers and expats enter China, a blood test is required as the entry screening under China's Frontier Health and Quarantine Law. Since nobody can run a transparent national prevalence survey inside the country, researchers are forced to reconstruct reality from the people who manage to cross a border and submit to a blood test. It is epidemiology at the border checkpoint. Therefore, the most useful studies did not come from inside North Korea, but from the city of Dandong, the biggest Chinese gateway for North Korean travelers. Researchers analyzed the medical screening records of 18,494 North Korean nationals entering China between 2015 and 2017. These were not opinion surveys or whispered anecdotes. These were actual entry health examinations, including laboratory testing. For syphilis, the researchers used standard serological methods, meaning the study reveals the secret itself without asking people to confess. The study actually identified 57 cases of active syphilis, alongside other infectious diseases, and noted that syphilis incidence increased over the study period, and the disease is on the upswing back home. Labour workers made up the overwhelming majority of those screened, and the pattern was especially notable among working-age adults. Most of the infected cases were in women aged 30 to 50. Why? Likely because they include many of the women engaging in informal trade and sex work during and after the famine years. These are the wives, mothers and market vendors who had greater exposure to risky situations to keep their families fed. Their higher rates of infection suggest that syphilis is not just an urban elite issue, but a common woman's burden in North Korea's struggling economy. In North Korea, syphilis had spread widely enough to cause panic at high levels in the 2000s. A North Korean health official, speaking anonymously, admitted that authorities were alarmed by the spread of syphilis around 2011. The creation of local STD examination offices that year was largely a response to syphilis cases popping up across the country. Besides syphilis, gonorrhea is another trouble and tends to cause more obvious symptoms, especially in men. In the kingdom, gonorrhea earned the euphemism, the military disease, thanks to its prevalence among soldiers. When there were reports that generals and officers needed another batch of penicillin, it was gonorrhea running rampant due to informal relationships between officials and female soldiers. One can imagine the unspoken crisis meetings within the People's Army. Stern-faced commanders discussing an enemy within that they cannot eliminate with guns and missiles. In a darkly comic turn, the North Korean army, famous for drills and parades, had to divert resources to secure shipments of antibiotics to clean up an outbreak of the clap. The situation got so notable that even Radio Free Asia, often focused on human rights and politics, carried the story of North Korea's gonorrhea troubles. Then there is chlamydia, often dubbed the silent STD, which has undoubtedly also made itself home in the People's Republic. Chlamydia infections often have mild or no symptoms, especially in women, yet they can cause infertility and chronic pain. Without lab tests, a luxury that North Koreans rarely could afford, chlamydia typically goes undiagnosed. It likely piggybacks on the transmission routes. We only know it's there because when defectors reach the outside world and undergo medical exams, a portion are found to have it, which they were often unaware of. For instance, doctors in Toronto who examined North Korean refugees reported finding both chlamydia and syphilis cases among the new arrivals. This is further backed by defector health studies in South Korea. Detecting HIV is even trickier because the evidence is thinner and the stigma is much stronger. For decades, the DPRK officially insisted it had 0 cases of HIV. AIDS was portrayed as a plague of the decadent West, a consequence of promiscuity, homosexuality, and drug abuse. All things that never ever existed in socialist Korea. State media occasionally touted North Korea's AIDS-free status with self-congratulatory pride. Even at one point, the health officials went nuts and declared victory against AIDS. In 2015, during a deadly MERS virus outbreak elsewhere in Asia, Pyongyang claimed to have invented an injectable cure-all called Kumdang-2 that could prevent and treat MERS, Ebola, SARS, and yes, HIV. According to official propaganda, this wonder drug derived from ginseng and rare earth metals was proof that North Korean science had beaten what the outside world could not. It was as if by claiming a cure for AIDS, they could reinforce the fiction that AIDS was never a threat to begin with. And there is the usual silence in North Korea's own medical literature. A peer-reviewed review of 2,792 articles from 3 North Korean medical journals published between 2012 and 2016 found that infectious disease research was overwhelmingly focused on tuberculosis, malaria, and parasitic diseases, often with a noticeable reliance on traditional medicine, itself a useful clue about shortages in modern treatments and diagnostics. So, North Korea does not publish open, reliable HIV reports, which means outside estimates often have to be modelled rather than cleanly counted. UNAIDS explains that in data-poor settings, national HIV estimates are built from repeated prevalence studies where available, case reporting, antiretroviral treatment data, and a stack of assumptions large enough to be statistically significant. North Korea's first confirmed HIV infection was recorded in 1999. How that patient got the virus is not public knowledge. Perhaps a student or soldier who travelled abroad, or a foreign contact. But once HIV found a toehold, it began spreading quietly under the radar. Through the 2000s, there were no public awareness campaigns about safe needle use or sexual transmission, because that meant inadvertently admitting HIV's presence. By the 2000s, accumulating evidence forced a crack in the secrecy. International health organizations gained glimpses of an HIV problem growing in the north. The World Health Organization was given some limited data, and NGOs working with the North Korean Health Ministry started treating patients on the sly. In June 2019, an explosive report in the journal Science finally blew the lid off. North Korea had an estimated 8,300 HIV-positive people in 2018. Far from zero, the infections had been rising steadily since the country's first reported case 2 decades ago. The regime, true to form, still publicly denied any AIDS cases, even as it quietly cooperated with foreign aid to manage them. A New York-based non-profit organization revealed that it was providing antiretroviral drugs to about 3,000 North Korean HIV patients, with the government's behind-the-scenes approval. It's such a cognitive dissonance. On one hand, North Korean officials claim that their country is HIV-free. On the other, those same officials are meeting with foreign aid workers in secret to request shipments of AIDS medication for the thousands of patients who do not exist. The way HIV likely spread in North Korea is a tragic mirror of the regime's vulnerabilities. Blood transfusions in hospitals were probably not always rigorously screened, especially during the famine years. Injected drug use is not openly discussed in North Korea, but there have been reports of surges in methamphetamine use. Or perhaps, clinic patients used shared needles since they cannot afford disposable ones. By most accounts, sexual transmission is the main concern. The same factors driving syphilis and gonorrhea also create risk for HIV. Particularly concerning is the overlap. Someone with an untreated STD like syphilis has open sores that make catching or spreading HIV much easier. If a North Korean sex worker contracted HIV from some important guests, she could spread it to multiple partners, who in turn might carry it to their wives or other partners. With no testing and no awareness, such an epidemic could smoulder for years entirely undetected. International experts warn that North Korea could be on the brink of a larger HIV outbreak. Think about it. Limited diagnostic capacity, limited treatment, social stigma, risky behaviours, and an utterly uncooperative government. The regime's strategy so far has been to keep HIV-positive people out of sight, perhaps quarantining some quietly, giving medical care to some others, and preventing new infections by screening travellers. Every North Korean worker sent abroad for construction or labour is tested upon return for HIV. The screening strategy is not wrong, but as North Korean defectors' health checks in South Korea and elsewhere have shown, the virus is already circulating inside the country. You can't build a wall high enough to keep out a disease that has been spreading via intimacy and blood within the country.
North Korea has found a cure for cancer, AIDS, Ebola, and just about everything else. Or at least that's what they're claiming. Apparently a type of ginseng grown in rare earth molecular fertilizer can prevent different molecular epidemics. It's called Coupe-2, and it's injected into your body with a needle. The story was originally picked up in South Korea, where they're experiencing their own current deadly outbreak of MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome.
All the current struggles bring us to the historical question of how we got here. Long before the kingdom came, the Korean peninsula already had a disturbing history of STDs. Since the late 19th century, syphilis and gonorrhea had arrived unwelcomingly from colonial officers. Japanese rule turned traditional society upside down by legalizing prostitution in 1916. Japanese-run brothels sprang up across the country, serving both soldiers and labourers, and quickly became hotbeds of infection. By the 1930s and 40s, Korean cities under colonial rule saw rising rates of venereal diseases. Public health was hardly a priority in an occupied Korea. As long as the Imperial Army was serviced, the issue was swept under the tatami mat. When World War II ended and Korea split into North and South, both new governments inherited this transmissible legacy. The South, occupied by American forces, faced an explosion of brothels around US military bases. It was practically a continuation of the old imperialist problem under the new imperialist management. The North, in contrast, took a radically different approach. Kim Il-sung's fledgling People's Republic framed prostitution, promiscuity, and STDs as
Con tu cambio preferencial, CONAC, lo que ves, de lo que pagas, la tasa real, descartar.
¿Envías dinero fuera de México? Ahorra hasta 50% comparado con bancos, con el mismo tipo de cambio que ves en Google. Transferencias súper rápidas y sin comisiones ocultas. Descarga la app de Wise hoy.
Buenas noches, chef. Me gusta. Gracias. Esto se llama proceso casero con purruín. ¿Dónde está el sazón casero? El sazón casero está en la salsa. Y el purruín está en la sugerencia que usted me dio. Así escuchó. Sí, siempre necesitar y siempre aplicar la sugerencia. Bueno, simple vista. La sugerencia puede así que la pierna o por la mañana quizás así me deja bajadita. Suave la salsa. Porque ahí pues se pierde allí.
as capitalist evils that would be purged in the new classless society. In the early years of the country's founding, North Korea's official line was that STDs should be eliminated in a properly socialist nation. They shut down the brothels, promoted revolutionary virtue, and imperialist disease would disappear with the stroke of a pen, or so they thought. In the 1950s and 60s, while the South grappled with Camptown sex trade, the North imposed near-Victorian standards of chastity on its people. Publicly, there was zero tolerance for bourgeois immorality. Not only did they outlaw prostitution, but premarital sex became culturally taboo. They launched national moral campaigns extolling sound collectivist living. Supposedly, women were to be chaste comrades, men were to be devoted soldiers of the revolution, none of whom, of course, would ever visit a prostitute or stray from marital bed. Anyone caught in illicit relations faced severe punishment as an enemy of socialist values. The state even redefined the meaning of romance, urging young couples to channel their passions into labour and loyalty rather than lust. In theory, These measurements should have strangled any chance for STDs to spread. The only abnormal time was probably the Korean War, which likely introduced a new wave of sexual contact and disease as hundreds of thousands of foreign troops passed through the peninsula. With war comes chaos, and with chaos often comes sexual exploitation and prostitution, even if unacknowledged. And of course, beneath the ideological purity, human nature and necessity still lurked. Even in the glorious 1960s, rumours persisted of isolated cases of special illnesses being quietly treated in Pyongyang's hospitals. The dermatology ward, officially for skin problems, occasionally handled ailments that looked very much like syphilis rashes. As a self-dignified socialist country, the Kim regime's priority was image. So, if they couldn't build a socialist paradise without syphilitic soldiers or promiscuous girls, at least they can pretend no such problems exist. Patients might be told they had ordinary skin infections and should avoid certain intimate behaviours. Still, compared to the later chaos, the early decades of the DPRK were relatively successful at public health. Borders were sealed, foreign travel was rare, and the population lived under strict social controls. Unlike the South, with its influx of foreign troops and tourists who brought all sorts of germs, North Korea had very few outsiders bringing in new infections. Decades of socialist education and a closed border had created a strong cultural stigma about STDs. In a land where your private problems are public business, catching an STD was seen as a profound moral failure. One defector recounted that in his youth, catching an STD is considered one of the most humiliating things that could happen. People would rather suffer in silence than seek medical help. Syphilis wasn't viewed simply as an infection. It basically meant social ostracism, punishment from authorities, and even a black mark on one's family's songbird classification. So, people kept quiet. A young woman with untreated chlamydia might endure pelvic pain and infertility rather than go to a doctor and risk being socially shamed and punished. This wall of silence extended to the halls of academia and policy as well. North Korean medical journals, to the extent they existed, rarely, if ever, discussed sexually transmitted infections. As we mentioned, from 2012 to 2016, North Korea never printed a single academic article on syphilis or gonorrhea, as if STDs had been erased from official research topics. By contrast, South Korean journals openly studied and debated such issues, so I guess we couldn't blame it on the conservative Confucian tradition, which had a polygamous system. The North scientific community towed the line. No sex, no STDs, and no problem. The knowledge gap this created was huge. It further led to generations growing up with zero sex education. Most had no idea how to have safe sex or prevent disease. As one defector put it, growing up in Pyongyang, I never heard the word condom. I didn't know what one was. By the 1980s, things started to change. The United Nations Population Fund began working quietly in North Korea around 1985, introducing family planning concepts. For the first time, condoms started to appear in private markets. Sometimes, the state distributed those thick rubber barrier devices as well, but they remained curiosities. Most citizens didn't know what to do with them. One anecdote tells of schoolboys in the 1990s who found a cache of condoms and, never having seen such things, gleefully blew them up like balloons in the schoolyard. To their eyes, these were just funny, shiny toys. Only years later did they realise they'd been literally playing with birth control. In North Korea, the basics of sexual health were completely missing from public knowledge. And into that void, diseases might creep very easily. In the 90s, the Soviet Union collapsed, and a series of natural disasters plunged North Korea into an economic death spiral. The Great Famine, dubbed Arduous March, killed hundreds of thousands and shattered the state-run food distribution system. In that scramble to survive, North Koreans did whatever it took, and for some, that meant selling their bodies for food. Prostitution, virtually unseen in the Kim Il-sung era, exploded during the famine. Women who were faced with starving children or aging parents turned to the only marketable commodity they personally owned. A dark joke from that time. In North Korea, we don't have prostitutes, only good mothers doing bad things to feed their kids. These acts of desperation created a nascent sex industry that never fully went away, even after the situation was alleviated. As the regime grudgingly tolerated black markets, a parallel underground network of sexual services grew. By the 2000s, a new moneyed class of smugglers and entrepreneurial officials, dubbed Donju, the money masters, had cash to spend on entertainment. They bankrolled secret establishments, opened restaurants with back rooms, massage parlors, bathhouses, all different kinds of fronts for prostitution, and let senior cadres or well-connected military officers protect them. Pyongyang even developed an underbelly of high-end call girls, catering to elites and prosperous traders. One can imagine lavish secret parties where officials clinked glasses of imported whiskey, enjoying the very thing they publicly denounce. At the same time, out in the provinces and the border zones, lower-end prostitution thrived. Towns near the Chinese frontier, like Sinui-ju, became boom towns for cross-border trade, and North Korean women were part of the commodity flow. Some slipped into China to work in brothels or bars, and others formed relationships with Chinese businessmen to secure a livelihood. In these areas, condoms were scarce and health checks non-existent. STDs spread quietly through these foreign contacts, then hitchhiked back into North Korea when the women returned home. A North Korean informant from Sinui-ju described how many local women who went to China came back with infections. This trend alarmed authorities enough to start mandatory testing of returning females. Another group at risk was the soldiers. The DPRK military is massive, and many soldiers, posted far from home and desperate for money or food, engaged with prostitutes or local women trading sex for favors. Meanwhile, some high-ranking officers turned their female subordinates into concubines, coercing them into relationships. It essentially brewed into the gonorrhea crisis among military units that we mentioned earlier. It's darkly comedic in a way. Men who tout revolutionary discipline by day, quietly dosing themselves with antibiotics by night after indulgences that are supposedly non-existent.
The statistics show that the overwhelming majority of North Koreans who defect are women. Secondly, the majority of them are being trafficked into China.
They try to escape from their captors, but they get caught. The women are beaten over and over again. Often they get locked up in a room for days.
Kang Soo Jin has hours of tape to prove it. Since 2006, she's interviewed dozens and dozens of women who escaped from North Korea only to find themselves caught in a bride trafficking web.
Faced with a worsening problem, North Korea's leadership had a dilemma. Sure, there is an ongoing public health crisis, but openly addressing it would destroy the myth of a morally pure nation. To keep people's pride and the leaders' face, they decided to attack the diseases covertly while keeping the propaganda intact. In the early 2000s, Kim Jong-il quietly launched nationwide initiatives to handle the STDs. According to defector reports, in 2002, Kim Jong-il ordered mandatory STD testing across the country. One can imagine the shock and confusion this decree caused on the ground. Ordinary citizens, who had never even been taught about sexually transmitted infections, were suddenly being herded into clinics to have their blood drawn and their privates examined by white-gloved doctors. The process was likely terrifying, not only for the embarrassment, but because people knew something must be terribly wrong for the state to suddenly care about secret illnesses. It's said that in this 2002 campaign, many who tested positive were treated quietly if medicine was available, and those caught in prostitution faced harsher consequences. The regime, true to its Juche self-reliance, rejected offers of help from international health groups, insisting that venereal disease was a problem of capitalist countries. Admitting needing help would mean admitting the existence of the problem, which was ideologically unacceptable. Behind the scenes, Pyongyang's Ministry of Public Health expanded capacity to handle the influx of patients. By 2011, the situation had escalated enough that health authorities reportedly opened various special STD prevention offices. These offices were tasked with administering exams and even vaccinating local residents. Well, there is no vaccine for syphilis or gonorrhea, of course. Probably they did the preventive antibiotic injections or therapeutic shots of penicillin. The fact that they made dedicated offices was remarkable, but don't get it wrong. Kim Jong-il's government still kept all of this firmly under tight control. No public campaigns about safe sex were launched on the airwaves. No school curriculum was revised to teach youths about STDs. Instead, the stigma stayed strong, and the effort stayed secretive. How effective was this? It's hard to say, likely only partially. The very nature of STDs is that you can't police them like average contraband, such as drugs or counterfeits. If two adults choose to have risky sex behind closed doors, the virus or bacteria will do their thing, oblivious to the Juche ideology. The North Korean approach caught some cases and helped some patients, but it didn't stop the root causes: widespread ignorance, growing prostitution, and a crumbling healthcare system. By the end of the 2000s, sexually transmitted infections had seeded themselves throughout the population, from elite circles in Pyongyang to remote farming villages.
PRK, where the people are considered as the most precious beings, all medical treatments and services ranging from medical examination to dispensing medicine are free. All the citizens enjoy their right to good health, receiving comfortable medical treatment in modern hospitals without paying any doctor's fee or charge for medicine. In the DPRK, where everything serves the people, the unique section doctor system is established to prevent diseases and promote the working people's health.
Amid all the statistics and policies, we shouldn't forget the human dimension of STDs in North Korea. Just think of a young North Korean couple on their wedding night. They likely never had any sex education. Whatever they know comes from whispered schoolyard rumors, or perhaps nothing at all beyond basic human instinct. Contraception is foreign to them. The idea of birth control might mean a hope and a prayer. If the husband contracted an STD during his military year, say he had a fling with a prostitute near the base, he might infect the bride on this very wedding night without even knowing he's sick. A few months later, the wife might start noticing strange symptoms or miscarry a pregnancy due to syphilis. She won't know why, or she secretly knows, but is far too ashamed to ask. If she goes to a doctor, she might describe some unrelated complaint, hoping the doctor will discreetly treat her without naming the disease. The doctor, bound by old school norms, might simply give a tonic or some penicillin shots without explanation. The couple stays in the dark, the disease possibly only partly treated. And if you multiply this scenario by thousands, this is how a veil of ignorance and shame perpetuates illness. People suffer rather than seeking medical help, as one defector plainly said. Then there's the story of the sex workers themselves. Take the case of Mrs. Kang from Defector Testimonies. In the late 90s famine, Mrs. Kang was a married woman with 2 children. When her husband died of starvation, she began trading in the local market to survive. An official with influence took a liking to her and offered to take care of her in exchange for favors. She entered a sexual arrangement out of desperation. Over time, he passed her to a friend, and she also had to entertain some paying clients on the side. Mrs. Kang contracted gonorrhea, which must have come from these men, and fell ill. She dared not go to the hospital, fearing the questions. Instead, she tried a folk remedy, an herbal concoction shared by another woman. It didn't work. Her condition worsened to the point that she was bedridden. Only then did a local doctor, who perhaps was tipped off by a concerned neighbour, visit her at home. He scolded her privately for improper conduct, but nonetheless gave her a series of injections. Since human medicine was scarce, she luckily got some leftover penicillin from the veterinary stock. She barely recovered. But others weren't so lucky. Some women died of untreated syphilis or infections that ravaged their bodies. In North Korea, a completely treatable disease can become a death sentence when it comes with layers of taboo, ignorance, and neglect. Consider also the prison camps, the infamous Kwanliso, where tens of thousands of political prisoners languish. These are places of unspeakable abuses, and sexual violence is known to occur often. It's not hard to imagine STDs spreading in such hellish conditions. To make it worse, North Korean prisoners have no access to proper medical care. A woman in a camp who contracts from a guard's assault might never be treated at all. The infection might progress, causing chronic pain and even systemic breakdown. It simply becomes another layer of suffering in the gulag. The spread of venereal disease in these hidden corners remains a forever dark secret, one that likely goes unrecorded, but not unrealized by those enduring it. Meanwhile, North Korea is a classed, classless system. The infamous Songbun system categorizes people based on family background and political loyalty. If you're from a high-status household and you got infected by something, your experience will vastly differ from someone of low status. A Pyongyang elite who picks up syphilis after a night of raving can quietly access the best care available. He might discreetly obtain imported antibiotics through contacts or be treated by a trusted